Are you guys familiar with Rogue Perfumery? Are you familiar with Rogue Perfumery?
You know I'm familiar with Rogue Perfumery.
What's your favorite Rogue Perfumery perfume?
I like Dervish.
Dervish. I'm a little unfamiliar with Dervish, but my favorite happens to be this baby right here, Mousse Illuminee, which you introduced me to.
I wasn't going to say anything. It is so rare that I smell something first. It almost never happens. I could probably count the times on one hand, but this is one where
you did an Etsy thing, and I was not into Etsy at the time, and I believe Rogue wasn't selling at Lucky Scent yet, so I kind of didn't do the Etsy thing, and then you said do it.
Well,
and
no,
then...
I occasionally like bring perfumes in my handbag to his studio and you have to smell this, which I did in this instance because I knew he would love.
Yeah. It's a favorite of mine. But did you guys know that there's a brand new flanker of it? I'm not sure if it's really considered a flanker, but it's called Absolue de Mousse right here. To me, it smells very much like the original, but more concentrated, also resinous, balsamic ambery. And what we're going to do today is tell you the difference between the original Mousse Illuminee, which is a favorite of mine, with Absolue de Mousse. So find out all about it coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. This is Dahlia.
Hello.
So what do we like about Rogue Perfumery?
Ooh, they're strong, powerful fragrances, not shy. There's no, I don't feel like it's trying to be mainstream. There's a real appreciation for
fine art of perfumery.
What used to be, what fragrance used to be. It's like big and bold and like saturated and dense and creative and exciting, and there's no, I have yet to smell anything from the line where I was like, it's forgettable. They're not. Whether you like it or not, it is memorable and it is distinctive. That is very what I like about them.
Very much so. And the man behind the brand, Manuel, is also a very nice person. I got to meet him 2.5 years ago or 2 years ago in Miami at the World Perfumery Congress. And it's a given that he's so nice and he creates some of the best fragrances out there. Indie niche, artisanal, I guess I would call these.
Is he a chef?
I think he was a chef.
Like something like that.
I think something like that. I think he used to live in Southern California. He's now living in Idaho. And the brand keeps cranking out really great fragrances. I've smelled a lot, and but still, my favorite is Mousse Illuminee. I like the boozy green mossiness of this fragrance. It's just out of this world. And it actually subconsciously transports me back in time when I used to steal sprays from my dad's fragrances, because he used to wear all these kind of fragrances, the green mossy fragrances like Polo and, all these masculine powerhouses.
Masculine powerhouse is a great way to describe it. To me, it has a different kind of nostalgia. My dad didn't wear the Oakmoss. He didn't go that direction with his aftershave, but it reminds me very much of Irish Spring soap. This reference apparently only lands with Americans. Apologies to the international audience. Ironic, given
Well, we should ask them to take back a bar with them to test.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean,
if they come to the States.
Right. If you visit the States, go to any drugstore and okay, that's a tall order. Don't do that if you don't want to.
But first they have to get a bottle of Mousse Illuminee.
It's not the same. It's just sort of nostalgic in a similar way of that bright, fresh, clean, really like specific kind of moss. Because it isn't that 1970s take on a sheep exactly, but it is inspired by, I would say, that really like no whole, we're not just putting in a touch of oak moss, like throwing it down.
We're not talking about a sheep right here, unfortunately, even though it's got a lot of moss in it. It's basically a fougere. It's like a barbershop fragrance for me. That's why I connect with it so much, because like I said, my dad used to wear these kind of fragrances. And what I like about this one is the Artemisia. Kind of sort of like licorice, giving us like a boozy absinthe kind of vibe. It's so amazing. It's magical. Amazing. It's magical. It's like you're jumping around in the forest of mossy fields and just smelling all the fragrance that's,
I think also the Cypress, the Laurel, like elevates it maybe out of a mossy, oakmoss, whatever. But it's bright, a little bit camphoric, a light kind of like you get to take a full breath of very, very soapy clean.
Does it clear your nose?
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I like that about it. But the thing is, it's so clean.
So clean.
And I think that's where the association comes with the Irish Spring soap. Yes. There's a soapy factor about it. It's an amazing fragrance. I think I think it's classic and modern at the same time. I don't think there were fragrances like this. Just the idea was there. And I think that's how people connect with that kind of a fragrance.
But I also think we forget that Irish Spring, Ivory Soap, all these like classic brands, like those are fragrances.
Yeah.
They're not unscented.
There was a fragrance in there that was made for that soap.
Right. Like, so it's not unfair to compare it to the scent of Irish Spring. Somebody, constructed that fragrance probably in a similar way that you would make a perfume, I have to think.
For the longest time, as a young kid, I was obsessed with Irish Spring soap. I just loved holding it and how smooth it was and creamy when you touched it. And then all of a sudden that greenness of it was very, very unique for me for some time when I was young. I just was really into that smell.
It is for the
texture.
For the non-American audience that has no idea what we're talking about. It is a very bright green. It is a color not often found in nature. And the TV ads were genuinely excellent. Maybe not the most high quality production, but
cheesy.
So cheesy, but hilarious, very entertaining. Anyway,
but going past that soap, if you haven't tried Mousse Illumineee and you like classic fragrances, fougères, even Cypress, I think you've got to check this one out. I mean, he has a Chypre called Chypre Siam, which is more of a Chypre. This is more of a barbershop with maybe the idea of a Chypre in it as well, because of the moss. This is an overdose with moss.
It's so much moss, and it isn't that specific kind of dense 1970s Chypre. But I think, I don't know, I have never met this person, but I think he must have been inspired by vintage perfume to some extent, or experienced it. He has to be. You couldn't come to this in the modern world if you didn't appreciate vintage or have this kind of scent memory of your parent or grandparent who did wear that stuff. Which I love that. It is like this sort of time traveling, both very, very modern, but with a very clear nod to another era. I
think that's the reason why I like this brand, because I grew up with the vintage fragrances. Both my parents wore them, and a lot of them. Dad wore all the powerhouse men's fragrances. And Mom wore all those popular fragrances, the spicy ones like opium and aldehydic ones and things like that. So I really like vintage fragrances. And I'm not saying this is totally old school, but it's, paying tribute to those kind of fragrances and making it modern.
Tribute is a very good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's move on to the Absolue de Mousse, this one right here. I felt like this is, like I said, a bit ambery, resinous, balsamic. But there's some funk in there too. I don't know what it is, but I get a salty ambergris-like funk. And salty ambergris creates a screechiness in fragrances for me. And it's in here a little bit. But it's basically taking the original, because it smells like the original, doesn't it?
It's like it's the same Oakmoss, but with different...
But they've added other things. So the notes breakdown is Oakmoss, Treemoss, Olibanum, Artemisia, Rose, Nutmeg, Cloves, Thyme, Orange Blossom, Clary Sage, Myrrh, Labdanum, Spikenard, and Musk.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on in there. It's overdosed with resins, I think. The myrrh is quite sharp, and maybe they're not mentioning that there's ambergris or something ambergris-like. Maybe they're trying to create an ambergris accord. It's giving me ambergris vibes because I get salt from it. It's salty.
It is salty, but it's the rose and the orange blossom are adding an interesting kind of like texture to it. Like a smooth isn't exactly the right word. But slimy is not. That sounds really negative, and it's not.
It's not slimy to me.
It's not slimy, but there's like a coating of the rose and the orange blossom.
It's not dusty to you?
Something that I can't think of that is a word that is somewhere between smooth and slimy.
For me, the original is a lot syrupier. This one is drier. And I'm actually feeling or experiencing the resinous touches of the myrrh. It's a lot of resin here. If you've ever held myrrh or frankincense, it's got that kind of dusted coating on it. It's almost like taking the original, coating it with dust.
I know what you mean about the dryness now. And there was a saltiness.
There's a saltiness
in the opening.
Yeah, it's quite salty when it opens.
Yeah, but it does carry through almost like salt air. Like
yeah, that's why I'm thinking it's ambergris.
Yeah, interesting.
But do you get animalic? It's not your traditional like civet or musk or hyraceum or even what's the beaver? Drawing a blank with the name.
Oh, it starts with a C.
Anyway, it's not those kind. It's more like a salty marine animalic, and that's why I'm associating it with ambergris.
It's not clean in the way that Mousse Illuminee is clean. Mousse Illuminee is, did I mention, soapy?
Yeah, I'm not getting Irish Spring soap from this.
Not at all. It's like the only real overlap. I don't know if you would call it a flanker because I think maybe the Oakmoss is the same, but it's not the same quantity.
I don't know if I would call it a flanker either, but when Jean-Paul Gaultier makes a La Mail and 30 years later they make something called La Mail Elixir, it doesn't smell anything like it and they're calling it a flanker.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's a nice redo of the original. I'm still preferring the original myself. It's just something about it is just very magical for me. Mm-hmm. I think that whole soapy layer of the original is just quite magical. It's almost like you're watching a fairy tale and there's these, what do you call it in the Irish?
Leprechauns?
Leprechauns jumping around in the forest. And maybe they've gotten dirty. They have to go take a bath or something with the soap. But I don't know, something weird like that.
Like all of Ireland just unfollowed you.
Really?
Hopefully not.
No, I mean, that's the visual I get. If I was thinking of a fairy tale, but not in reality. For me, it's just a magical fragrance. I just thought of magical and the leprechauns, but
I'm teasing you.
No,
it is really good.
No. Yeah, I mean, but which would you pick between
Mousse Illuminee?
Yeah,
I mean, I have Mousse Illuminee, and it's not like every day or every week, but it is absolutely a mood.
The other thing with the new one, the Absolute de Mousse, is the booziness is gone. There is certainly a green absinthe-like booziness in the original.
I think that comes from the Artemisia. It must, like just
and
that.
They mentioned there's Artemisia in the Absolute as well, but maybe it's not as pronounced in the Absolute de Mousse as it is in the original Mousse Illuminee.
I do sort of feel like the rose and the orange blossom are like
toning it down,
neutralizing it in some way. Like I think Mousse Illuminee sort of flies. It's almost like there's aldehydes or something. The way it just projects and soars and like it radiates this.
I like that word. It does radiate for sure.
And this, I just feel like the rose and the orange blossom, like that word I can't think of. That's sort of like it's weighing it down again sounds negative, and I don't mean it to.
Well, I think that's what usually happens with the concentration. They usually have much longer longevity. It lasts longer, but for some reason it kind of brings down their projection and reach because of the concentration of the oils.
It's wearing much closer to skin. I just put some on my hand, and it's not. I almost had to like touch my nose to my hand to. It's not that it's light. It's not exactly a skin scent.
No, it's intense.
We are surrounded by scent in this small space.
Are we?
Well, yes.
It's just a green screen.
But
that's what some people say.
Do they?
Yeah, it's green screen.
I can. Do you want me to like grab something? It's very real.
No, it's okay.
No, it's I don't think I'd call it a flanker at all.
No, it's not a flanker. Just an absolute version
on skin. It's on my thumb over here. Yeah, it's
deeper.
It's deeper. I don't know if it's the spice. Maybe it's the resins.
I think it's the resins that's the resins that's doing this personally.
Yeah.
It's resinous. And the dry down when I was wearing it is very ambery. compared to the original.
Yeah, there's almost something about it that makes me think of tea.
Have you ever had ambergris tea?
Have you?
No.
Anyway, there's no ingredient that really suggests that.
No, I don't know why I'm getting salt. It's a bit animalic and it's a bit metallic.
You know, maybe it's the sage and the thyme giving it a dusty quality. Like that dry, leafy kind of, maybe?
Could be.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I personally don't think all the perfumers all credit every single note. Or simply it's just created with the notes that are mentioned that are in here is the way the fragrance acts.
I do get more moss from Mousse Illuminee, along with more Artemisia, Cypress, Laurel. And in this one, it's Absolue de Mousse, but it's not really the moss that I'm noticing. I'm noticing the rose and the orange blossom, but like in a muted kind of way.
It's very muted with the orange blossom and rose.
And I'm noticing the resins, but not in an incense way, like in a genuine resin kind of way.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did we? I thought we were going to fight. Oh, no, we were fighting about something else. We agree. Sorry to disappoint.
No, we agree because, as mentioned, Dahlia was the one that introduced me to Mousse Illuminee back in early 2019, and I've been a fan of it since then. And so when this launched, I was very, very curious to get my nose on it. And it doesn't disappoint in any way. It's just a different take on the original. But I feel like the original is really, really perfection.
Yeah. I also have the jasmine they did. I want to say it's called Jasmine Antique, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very like kind of like banana jasmine that's so.
But jasmine?
Yeah, but like so clearly, it's like photorealistic. It's
good stuff.
Yeah, like you know the glasses where one is blue and one is red. What is that? 3D kind of like.
Yeah.
Jasmine.
I still prefer the original Mousse Illuminee, and I still really love Cypress Siam as well. I recently featured Cypress Siam in a video. I consider them my two favorites, but I actually should dig into the rest of the collection and see.
I think you'd like the jasmine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I do like jasmine. Is it animalic?
Yeah, a little
bit. Is it indolic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Although it is like, you know, there's like that zone right before it's like too much. It's right on the correct side.
Okay. I like that.
Should you ever choose to look at the playlist of videos where I am
we've done some videos on funky fragrances.
I think I've wept on this channel. And it's not that kind of animalic, but it is that sort of almost fecal jasmine. But it's really good. Really good. And Cypress Siam, that's the very lime kind of one, right?
It's Kaffir lime. It's Kaffir lime. Chypre.
That one's exciting. And Dervish is really kind of just such an interesting use of patchouli and this kind of ambery. I like that one a lot. Okay. Nice winter scent.
Cool. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video on Mousse Illuminee from Rogue Perfumery.
Yeah.
Versus or compared to the new Absolue de Mousse from Rogue Perfumery. Let us know if you've compared these two fragrances. Let us know if you're fans of either one of them and the brand. If you want to find out more about the brand, I have links to Rogue Perfumery and Lucky Scent in the info box because they do sell the fragrances over at Lucky Scent. Thanks so much for watching today's video. What do you want to tell them?
The people can find me on Instagram at the Perfume Dahlia or on my website, dahliaazaria.com.
Thanks, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.